Boy. Long-term care. Let's talk about long-term care. As I mentioned before, I'm in my 70s, single, divorced, and had a 50-year career. And I've every year I have a policy that comes in for an annual renewal, and it's called long-term care. And I started looking at long-term care through my insurance broker, because my parents were in their 80s and they started looking into independent living and assisted living as they age. You were in their mid-80s. Well, once you're exposed to how senior living works, independent living, assisted living, nursing home, and so on, people think that Medicare takes care of this shit. It doesn't. It doesn't. It takes care of certain things, and it's very restrictive and so on. You're not going to get carte blanche unless you have what we call long-term care. The reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because my mother passed away at 94 in assisted living. My father's 100. He's in independent living. And every penny, and they rent these rooms monthly. You have to pay, man, for that. You're not going to get much less than $5,000 a month, okay? And then when you add these services, it could be all the way up to $15,000, and that's a single person. Now, would you rather die? Yes. Some people say, "Hey, just kill me, just let me die." That's not the point. The point is what your wealth was prior to going into it. How do you protect it? So you have to learn, like I did, how to preserve whatever wealth you've had, okay? I'm talking about your assets. I'm talking about your banking account. I'm talking about your life insurance. I'm talking about your home. Because if you get in a system where you're not protected legally and you don't have long-term insurance, there's a term that the legal term is called a clawback. They claw back emergencies and your wealth and so on. You could be broke and be in healthcare. I know people that did not have enough money. They had to reduce their room from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in their 90s down to a fucking cubbyhole. And she eventually died at 102. And there was no family to help upgrade her or pay the difference to supplement Medicare. That's how bad it is. So every year I get this premium, and they're always asking, because the price goes up, inflation goes up, services go up. You have to determine what the cost is going to be so they don't touch your wealth that you're trying to preserve. Here's the kicker. You have to be healthy enough, and the younger you are, the better, because not only do you get health, the cost goes up, inflation goes up, the service goes up. So every year when John Hancock, that's who I have, and by the way, there's only a very few, I believe there's only like 3 long-term care people, insurance companies that even have it now. So talk to your broker, your insurance broker, your life insurance, your term insurance, whatever that person is, health insurance, medical, Medicare, all that. They're going to know long-term care. Then they have a long-term care specialist broker that works and will configure what's best for you and how much it's going to be to take care of you as you disintegrate. That's the bottom line. You're going to disintegrate. Senior living, you could be in memory care. It all costs money. And Medicare's not going to cover this shit. So I'm hoping, and this is one of the reasons why I speak about retirement and transition and so on. This is what I've been spending my time on. The last 6 years, as I started getting serious, the last 7 years, as I started getting serious about retiring. I retired at, a Medicare at 65. I've had Medicare. And I took Social Security at age 66, not 62. That lessens full benefit. And my investments, I didn't want to wait till I was 70 for 8%. I surpassed that with my own investments. So I'm downsizing everything, and I'm putting everything in a trust, including the biggest asset my father said you've made, the biggest investment was long-term care. Why? Because it's hitting his pocketbook, my dad's pocketbook. And thank God he did not leave us with any problems financially. Because that's what happens with people. That's what happened to that example I told you, the woman that died at 102. She was a baby boomer. She had no money. And the kids in their 60s and 70s didn't want to participate to help their own mother, to get her, a housing of dignity. People run out of money, man. And that's the other thing. Don't give your family gifts when you need this financial support for yourself. Now, you could design an estate plan. Upon your death, you can distribute what you want. But the only way you're going to preserve it is, I hope, that you get long-term care. Now, here's the deal about long-term care. You got to qualify for it. I know people that went for long-term care and said, I'm going to use that because I have some net worth and I want to preserve that. Guess what? One or two, if it's a couple, they failed the health test, the underwriting. They couldn't even get it, okay? Now, once a year, I'll get the premium and say, Rock, okay, here's your premium. It's gone up, of course, and then they give you an offer to upgrade. Basically, it's an upgrade for more money and per month to salvage your wealth. And that's what I've decided to do year after year. Because guess what happens? I might have a track record of living another 20 years. I don't want my net worth to go down, or for my kids or my charities. I want it to live on forever. And if I die before I could exercise long-term care, then I'm dead. Yeah, I put the money away. Okay? So I believe in my case that long-term care would help me, my financial legacies for my children and my descendants. That's why I invest in it. Okay? So every year when it says, hey, Rock, we can upgrade you 2 to 3% or more, I take it. I take it. And I pay for it myself where no one else has have to pay for me. And my estate plan, it's in my estate plan, and I have co-trustees and say, listen, when Dad dies, he's covered. And like my dad said, that's the best investment you ever made, because I preserved my personal net worth. You see? So I just want to give you a heads up that those are the things that you need to think about in your 50s, in your 60s. It's important because I've seen my role models, my mother, my father, and other family members never got into a nursing home. Most people die in a hospice or a hospital or some sort. But if you live on forever, like my father is another 35 years after retirement, they're pulling that out of his personal wealth. So I'm at the point where I don't want to leave a burden for my kids. I don't want my kids or my grandkids to take care of me upon my death. Okay? Now, people say, well, how much is it? You know how I look at it? I look at it like it's an investment in me and my family, my kids, my descendant, my estate. And to me, it's just like anything else. 100 a month, 200 a month, 100, 1,000 a month, whatever it is. It depends on your age and your condition and at the time of underwriting. Okay, so I just want to give you a heads up, and I usually take it because I don't want my kids to have a burden with me. And as I age, if I decline my mind, my physical, my motor skills and so on, I'm going to end up in a nursing home. I'm going to end up in independent living. And I don't want my family to think about Dad left us with a mess, with taxes and what's the other thing that they call it? Overhead costs, liabilities, things like that. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a heads up that, when you start looking at retirement and you're aging, that's all part of it, man, because at the end of the day, we all get sick and we all die eventually, okay? So God bless you guys. I hope this helped, and I'll talk to you soon.